Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and today we gotta talk about breaking the law. Ladies and gentlemen, this video might get me sued, okay? And the reason why I may actually face legal action is because the subject of today's video is a scumbag game development company. So this is a game known as Venator, which is an online PvPvE first-person shooter, right? So kind of think of it similar to, I guess, Escape from Tarkov, okay? Call of Duty Warzone DMZ, you know, the extraction shooter craze that we're currently living through. Now, this game used to be on Steam, for instance. It was an early access game for a little bit, releasing in Q4 2023, so literally right around the corner. Now, obviously, it's a game that's no longer available on the Steam store, because I'm also sure Valve does not enjoy asset flips on their store. So what is an asset flip, okay? An asset flip is basically a video game on a digital storefront that is very low quality. So for instance, remember when I played Arab Drift Cars 2? I believe it was 2. I don't know if it was a sequel or it doesn't matter. That game was on the PlayStation storefront that I bought for a couple dollars. And it ran like hot ass, it looked like hot garbage, and ladies and gentlemen, it was just basically assets downloaded, cobbled together, and put on a storefront within maybe a day or two. And it's all there just to divert traffic from big budget games, big quality games, high quality games, just so these developers can make a few bucks, okay? It is effectively shovelware. Steam is full of this kind of stuff. Games like Anime Stranding, for instance, okay? Which is a clone of Death Stranding with absolutely cobbled together assets one could find on multiple storefronts. Basically, you buy an asset pack for like 20 bucks, you cobble together a dogshit video game, and you maybe make 200 bucks out of it, okay? That's generally the market that you're hitting for. And Steam, Epic Games, I guess, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch eShop is filled with this kind of crap on a daily basis, okay? As soon as you wade through the quality, you'll find the asset flips. Now, one YouTuber in this situation, alright, known as Blue Drake 42, has decided to take this matter into their own hands and produce their own video game, ladies and gentlemen. A game known as Operation Harsh Doorstep. Now, if you don't know Operation Harsh Doorstep, it's a game that's entirely free on the Valve storefront here. You can download it right now, you can donate if you feel like it, and of course, it's a game that's fully moddable. It's an Unreal Engine game that at its core plays like Squad, Arma, really any tactical military shooter, okay? Games like Ready or Not. And of course, you can mod this so you can add other things into it. So generally, it's a free game. Apparently, it's always going to be free, and it's designed just for the community to play without scumbag developers. Now, I also respect on a wholesale level when a YouTuber is building their own game. Making a game is not fucking easy, okay? Making a game requires a significant capital investment, it requires a time investment, it requires talented developers, and most importantly, artists to produce unique assets. What Blue Drake wanted to do was not make an asset flip. They didn't want to just steal assets from any game or just cobble together some crappy video game together. No. This is not an asset flip. For the most part, we've been told here that every single asset in this game, for the most part, has been made by their own artists and their own teams. There may be some assets they've bought, but it would be in a very, 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 very small minority. So what's important here is to go back to Venator, okay? Now Venator, these developers are producing a game that you can play right now, okay? You can hit that big play now button, you can download their launcher, and the full version at this price is currently 30 euros, okay? So around $40 USD from my understanding, okay? Now they are charging money, okay? Whereas Operation Harsh Doorstep is a free game. So some astute individuals looked closer into the assets and found something a little bit scary, okay? For instance, this is Operation Harsh Doorstep, right? Take a good look at this gas station. You got 95 ethanol, 91 ethanol, and a warning. Don't smoke near the gas station. Now, of course, this is from Venator. Whoa, hold on. This is the same goddamn asset tree that I'm seeing. So the implication here is obviously the gas number is 9571. I mean, even the colors haven't been changed. The danger close sign is considerably, well, danger close to the other developer. So there's a lot of red flags here. So of course they looked at the 3D assets, and walking into this like house, this warehouse looking area, you can see that they've got this green panel, this green window panel, this sort of like, I guess you could say beige wood panel here too for the door. And of course this is from Operation Harsh Doorstep, their unique asset. Now when you compare it to this next game, they've got the same exact layout over here, except they may have changed some of the coloring, right? So for instance, it's a little bit reddish as you're seeing here. I mean, you can even kind of just see that the layout of the building is the exact same too. Forget the proportionality of some of the props here. You can see that literally the layout, like this is the wall side, and of course in Operation Harsh Doorstep, that's the wall right there. They've added a locker in their version of the game. So there have been some changes, but obviously if you're playing this, you'll probably notice, oh shit, this is pretty much the same asset shot for shot. So from Operation Harsh Doorstep, we're in these kind of like tunnel locations. You can see like they've got this arch, they've got this supporting beam, and they've got this other doorway leading out. Now, of course, looking into Venator, you might be able to isolate, whoa, the layouts are matching. Like, it's not even just like a few graphics, it's the straight up layouts of some of these locations. Now, this is another asset that claims to be stolen here, and if you can look at it, the side of the building is quite honestly very identical. The top railing section, as you can see, it's pretty much match for match. The window placement is a match for match. Exterior textures may be a little bit different, but then the one key difference here is the amount of HVAC units that are actually above each window, or aircon units, and yes, there are changes made to some of these assets, but by and large, you can absolutely see the original asset pretty much underneath some of these minute changes. Like, look at this building that, like, Operation Harsh Doorstep has, okay? You see this, like, building? It's got these 4 slitted, like, vertical windows. You've got these 2 support beams. What am I saying? Go right here. Bam! 4 slitted windows. It is, hands down, that asset. And, of course, they've changed a few things, like the color. Maybe they've added, like, a bit of graffiti onto it. But at the end of the day, from, like, this distance, it is, without a doubt, like, the exact asset underneath. Maybe there are some changes, but that's still not enough to make it look like it's not stolen. Look at this one building they made over here, okay? They got this little nice building, all right? Two windows staring out. You've got this like Tetris-style roof going on. Bam! It exists in Venator. Literally the exact same. Like, yeah, sure, they changed the exterior graphics for it, but at the end of the day, those assets, my God, appear to be exactly ripped off. Like, it is almost entirely like underneath it's the same asset. Over it they may change some of the visual design, but it's still the asset that we're looking at. So I was a little bit surprised when I started looking into this, because I figured that there were so many free assets that were available that they wouldn't even need to be doing this. So again, it's unmistakable that the asset work is without a doubt the same underneath everything. So this wouldn't necessarily be that big of a deal. Obviously, Blue Drake ended up contacting this development team, which is when it got a little bit fucked up. So inside this development team, they ended up responding back to Blue Drake, whose name is Connor, and they said, "Don't get me wrong, I want to help and understand clearly what you're saying. I checked on my computer and on others. I have no download reference to your project or license. I kindly ask you to enable me to delve deeper on the topic and also carry out other checks. I'm talking about this project of yours," where they mentioned the OHD mod kit. So this is the SDK for Operation Harsh Doorstep, which allows players to mod their game. Can you confirm that the game objects you indicated can only be found on this project and that this project is yours? I mean, obviously Blue Drake should be able to prove that the assets they've made belong entirely to them with their own metadata. What I think is that your game files are finished in other projects, resident in the Epic Marker Kit place, nice spelling, and redistributed after small manipulations in other forms. I cannot, in terms of Italian law, provide you with the list of our purchases on Epic's Market Pulse due to privacy and other Italian laws. Why? Why can't you prove a list of purchases? I don't know if that, I'm calling sus on the Italian legal penal code for that. However, I can assure you of my full commitment to understanding the situation. The first piece of advice I would like to give for OHD is to prevent downloads of game packages from the Epic Store by anyone who tries to accessing them without your license. This could be an excellent legal defense. Now, this statement alone is insanity. So, as you understand, if you download anything or a free-to-play game, you might notice that there's a contract in the beginning of every single one of them. That's what we call an end-user license agreement. Now, a lot of games have it when you legally purchase a title, but you know that piracy exists, right? Like, you can download pirated versions of many games and strip their EULA. If I pirated, for instance, Rainbow Six Siege, right? For instance, I downloaded it, I skipped all of the EULA that Ubisoft provided me. I'd never said I accept. That still makes it illegal. If you are illegally obtaining the fucking game data, and sure, you didn't sign an EULA, that doesn't make your piracy or your asset stealing legal. You have actually committed 2 crimes in that situation. You've stolen the assets, and you've also pirated a video game or, video game software. So also check the type of distribution of OHD with Epic Store. In my humble opinion, part of your license violates the Unreal Engine, the editor part, and Epic Store for distribution. Don't get me wrong, my intention is to just become your friend, to understand what happened and not have difficulty with our game. So again, reading this letter makes me also think that the guy behind this game, Venator, might be working with artists that have possibly stolen assets, and they just never told it to the developers here. That might be the only saving grace. Remember, as a small development team, you may understand that when you're working with random people, they might bring illegal assets to your work, but it's still entirely on your ass, okay? It's up to you to do the due diligence that you're not using anything illegal in your work, okay? Especially when you're sending out a final product. So in another response to Connor here, he says that I already replied to you in my previous email. Do whatever we think is right for you, which is a discussion of possible legal action. I state again that the meshes in my asset packages are not those in the packages you indicate in your emails. The ones I have a smaller number of polygons, the UV maps don't work, and the physics are badly reconstructed. In short, the ones I have are very poorly made and would need to be rebuilt from scratch. I honestly don't think it's your job, but if you think so, continue legally as well. I'm ready. So here he claims that he's basically being slandered in this situation, when at the end of the day, there really isn't any slander. We've looked at the actual assets, the screenshots between both games, and they are very, very suspiciously close to one another, okay? So it really leads anybody to logically believe that you've kind of been stealing from the game. So another creator known as Big Fry was received this. Hey Big Fry, who also covered this situation like me. Could you kindly remove the video or contents which contain my references? I don't want to proceed with the strike and fuel controversies. So where they're showing a privacy complaint process, this is why I remove like everybody's name, email address, IP address, blood type from my channel, okay? Just because anytime I deal with talking about these individuals, they always jump to the privacy complaints and try to remove videos, okay? Don't do that, all right? Trust me, I will do everything in my power to make sure that YouTube doesn't have a reason to remove videos for privacy reasons. So again, Blue Drake goes out and reaches out to Ciba Games, the company behind Venator, and basically said, we gotta sue you, okay? We have to actually sue you since you appear to be stealing our assets. So Connor says, A, please stop threatening and taking down other channels. Absolutely, you shouldn't be threatening creators. Have you ever heard of the Streisand effect? People talk about your situation. The only reason I'm hearing about this is I've seen this float around my feed too many times. Then it was shut down all your multiplayer services and then provide additional assurances in the form of a signed agreement with penalties if our work is ever discovered in the game a second time. Which I think is fair enough to say. If you've poured in your own money, your own time to develop assets for your game, especially as an indie game developer and somebody who is basically releasing their project for free. So here Drake actually says, we're basically $1,000 into legal fees, right? And that was just the first day of this action. So again, if the other developer, the Venator developer, isn't actually liquid, meaning they don't have money on top right now, then if you get to the point where, they're basically owing 20 grand in legal fees and $100,000 in damages, their studio basically shuts down. But the thing is, legal action, and nobody wants to be sued, okay? Nobody ever wants to be sued. So here, Momi, one of the people from their Discord, says, if you're sure of what you say and the evidence you claim to possess, we invite you to proceed in full force of your rights. We invite you to stop threatening this community with your lies. This is a warning, which we are forced to give you and which is imposed on us by our legislature. Next time, you will be banned. Now, look, at the end of the day, we have to really nip the butt if this is actually like asset stealing. Based on the evidence that I've seen that's been presented, the accusation has a lot of merit, okay? And it really seems like even if you change some of the asset work, right? Even if you do change some of that asset stuff going on, the problem is it's still the core asset underneath. And it baffles me again. There should be so much free stuff available, stuff that you can buy third party. So I don't know how this happened. I have to assume that the core developer for Venator, even if they are acting in a scummy manner, to give them, if I had to give them any, if I had to give them any charity in this situation, maybe they worked with another developer or not, or an artist that may have presented illegal material. But it is up to them to make sure that they do not put that in the final release of their game. Look, at the end of the day, Venator looks like a crappy extraction shooter anyway, so I wouldn't really bother going into it. But this is one of the things about the indie gaming scenes. This is a bad example of how they a good example of how, in the worst ways, they do cannibalize themselves, right? Like, obviously, stealing assets is never okay. Asset flipping is always a shady practice at best. And when it comes to a situation like this, it probably would have been just easier to remove those blatantly obvious assets and start replacing them around with something that is obviously more unique to your game. It really seems like this game exists for these guys to create like a subpar extraction shooter and charge $40 for it, because nothing that Venator does is especially new, something that Escape from Tarkov doesn't already do. Honestly, it might be better for you to just buy that game, as crappy as Escape from Tarkov can be in regards to its cheating situation. That might be something that is down your alley. But ladies and gentlemen, I think threatening creators with lawsuits is about the dumbest thing that you can do. Because if you thought this situation wouldn't blow up now, it's going to exacerbate as well. If anything, the good thing about this situation is to tell you guys that Operation Harsh Doorstep exists. So if you're somebody on my channel that loves military type shooters, there you go. You learned about a new game today, okay? And you can give that your support. But for a developer like this, it might have just been easier to take the L, apologize, remove assets, and just contract something new. Ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Mutahar, and yeah, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.